Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to my channel, Heavenly Brownstone. If this is your first time, go ahead, subscribe, like, comment on whatever you feel led to do. If it's returning followers, thanks again for following me. So today, I won't say it's not going to be. Today, I come to encourage. I believe that this is a word that God has given me for you all just as well as for me as well. But I believe He gave it for you as well as too. And the title of it is I was almost rejected from the Hall of Fame. Now, I understand what the name that I'm saying, but as I go into it, you will understand why I said what I said. Because a lot of us have been through a lot. We've been through a lot as far as being rejected, and some of us still today don't know why. Some of us still today feel like it was personal. It was against us and us alone. But God is here to tell you that that is not true. So real quick, I don't want to make this too long. I'm trying to stay 30 minutes or less. And sometimes you just want to give a quick word, like 5-10 minutes and be gone. But hopefully this don't be too long, okay? So I'm coming out of Ephesians 1:4-6. And it reads, even as in his love, he chose us, actually picked us out for himself as his own in Christ before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy, consecrated, and set apart for him, and blameless in his sight, even above reproach, before him in love. For he foreordained us, destined us, planned in love for us to be adopted, revealed as his own children through Jesus Christ, in accordance with the purpose of his will, because it pleased him and was his kind intent. So this is when I read that, and this is what God brought me to. As many of us on here has been through a place of rejection. Whether the place was our parents, siblings, jobs, church, friends, whatever it was. The problem is we have to get to the root. We have to understand what is rejection. How can we get to the root of the rejection unless we understand what is rejection? Rejection is the spurning of a person's affection. And what that means is it could be a person or organization is either a rude or racist or in the response or their actions or hearing the word repeatedly, no, no, no. You go for a job interview, you don't went on by 20 job interviews and all you hear is no, no on all 20 of them. That builds up rejection. When you was a child, you try to win that mother's or that father love, both of their love, and you in competition with your siblings. Or with your siblings, you're trying to hang out with them, and they want to be with their friends, and you feel like they're rejecting you, and you feel so hurt and everything, and you just want to be up under your big brother or big sister. You just want to love on them, and you just want to adore them, and you just idol them and everything. I know, and I understand about idols and all that. Got to remember, I'm coming from a child point perspective, and a child don't know anything about, you don't supposed to walk in idol. God is the only God that we're supposed to, reverence, that we're supposed to walk, that we're supposed to serve. Not man, but we will serve God through man. But keep going. So that's enough to discourage you, to keep you from pressing on, going forward, fighting for what you believe that is for you. God has already created us for such a time like this. God has already imparted us gifts wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, but because of what we have went through way back then, or what we have went through in our teenage years, and what we have went through recently, that we feel, or we felt into rejection. And so once you fall into that rejection, it's kind of hard to get out, because if you don't have enough word in you to climb up out of there, you're going to stay in there, because you don't want to hear, you don't want to feel that feeling anymore. And see, we got to get in a place when we bury ourselves in the word, there is not a feeling that we need to be in. We should no longer allow ourselves to walk in feelings and emotions. That's why God told us to put on the whole armor of God. That's why he told us to delight ourselves in him, and he will give us the desires of our heart. That's why he told us to lean not into our own understanding, but in all our ways acknowledge him, and he will direct our path. God has given us the basic information to be able to move forth, but because that rejection, that pain was so severe, that it felt so personal. It felt like you was coming for me. It felt like you hated me, like you needed to destroy me, that you didn't like me, that it was that you was jealous of me. And I'm here to tell you, after reading the word, God had allowed me to understand that it was never about me. He said, when I created you for a purpose for my glory, and what I created you for, for your purpose, your destiny. He said, don't flatter yourself. And I heard someone say that, and I'm like, wow. She said, God said, don't flatter yourself. It's not about you. It was never about you. And we made it about us. We made it so personal, because I understand we was born in sin. Psalms 51, I believe, Psalms 91. No, I believe Psalm 51. Yeah, it spoke that I was born into sin. My mother was sin. I was born into sin. And we allow our emotions and our feelings to get the best of us, and we feel like, hey, you coming for me. Real quick, John 15:18. John 15:18. It had said, if the world hates you, know that it hated me before it hated you. So God was letting us know about Jesus, that he was already hated. We wasn't the first ones hated. He was hated. They didn't even know him. They didn't have a reason to hate him. Just like they didn't have a reason to hate us. But God had allowed us to understand that it was never about us. We made it about us. So I'm coming to encourage someone. Get it in your know. Understand that it's not about you. Once you realize that it's not about you, and you go into Ephesians 1, 2, and 3, and realize the plans that God has for us. Even Jeremiah 29:11 spoke about that. The plans that God has for us. It was not to hurt us or harm us, but give us the expected end. But in order for us to understand that, we have to delight ourselves in the word. And he also said, blessed is the man who does not walk through the counsel of the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the seat of mockers. But he told us to meditate on the word day and night. Be like a tree planted by the rivers of water. That's what he told us, because he knew that we will allow circumstances, that we will allow the world systems, that we will allow people, place, and things, our family that's close to us, get the best of us. Because when you love, it hits home. But when you really don't care, it's not going to hit home like it's not going to hit home like it will do when it's a parent or a best friend or a sibling, or it's a job promotion that you want, or it's a relationship of that guy or that girl you really wanted, and and they rejected you. And we have to understand, people who are doing the rejecting, be careful, especially when you're a believer. Be careful of the words and the action that you do to your children, to your family, your friends, on your job. Be careful. Because sometimes the things that you plan for others, saying to others, it could be planned for you. Just like I believe it was Hagar who had it out for Mordecai. The ditch that he planned for Mordecai, that was what he had to fall into. He set it up for his own self. We have to be careful and mindful how we reject other people. We have to. We have to. And we got to remember, God didn't give us the spirit of fear. He didn't give us the spirit of fear. Remember who you are. You are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood. You are peculiar. You're called out of darkness. Darkness is that rejection. Darkness is that promotion you didn't get. Darkness is that relationship, whether it was a boy or a girl that you really wanted and it didn't happen. That best friend that, came against you. And we got to understand too, when we say that God allowed these things to happen, it wasn't all of them. We got to remember, sometimes God had gave us a way out. He had warned us. He kind of he told us no, okay, this is the time that I'm starting to separate you, and from person, place, and thing. And we try to hold so tight too. I know it's cliche. Y'all done heard it over from y'all leaders, from mentors, from family members who was called to encourage you or mentor you or walk with you or whatever it is. But I realize God allowed us to keep saying it over and over and over until someone get it. And for the ones who never heard it. Know that God loves you unconditionally. Pray. Pray and pray again. God, bring the people who is connected to me. Bring them. And the ones who are not connected to me, release them. But God, allow my feelings and emotions not to get in it. That's why, again, God say put on the whole armor of God. And protect your gateway. Don't allow the enemy to come in and do what they want to do. Especially when you're a believer. And I know we're not perfect of being the believers. But God was telling us to get in the word for ourselves because we were so busy, being so busy. And we always allow what somebody else said about the word instead of getting in the Bible and understand the word for ourselves. We need to understand the word for ourselves. If we read something, we don't understand it, okay, well, of course, go to somebody. And so you can get a good understanding and stop quoting stuff that was never the way that God intended it to say, for it to be said or be taught or be preached. It's not a bad thing of being a believer. It's not a bad thing serving God. It's a wonderful thing. It gives you purpose. It gives you a destiny. It gives you peace. And it gives you comfort. It'll allow you not to worry about certain things. No, we don't want to die in a bad way. We don't want to get sick where we can feel the pain. No, we don't want to be turned down. And, no, we don't want to be passed over. And, no, we don't want to leave the earth before getting married, or seeing our kids grow up. Some of these things are very selfish. And God said, but I sent my only begotten son. My only begotten son. He wasn't married. He didn't have no kids or anything like that. And I understand you saying that. We talking about Jesus. But you got to remember the different things that people went through in the Bible. Read their stories. And we can't say, well, that's the Bible. Because when you really read the Bible for yourself, you will read that their stories is actually your story. You're like, I went through that. Y'all remember that? Yeah, I wanted to have a baby, but I couldn't conceive, so I got somebody else to do it. Because I couldn't trust God long enough to do it. Well, if you want a baby, you better go out there and get it somewhere else. Then you want to come back and be careful of our tongue. We don't want to call those things in existence. Be careful what we say to each other. As a believer, as a non-believer, be careful what you say, especially to your kids. Break the generational curse. That puts them in rejection. Everything that I believe that was said to me, I tried to throw it on my son. And I had to say, wait a minute. No, you're not those things. Not everything you touch messes up. Not every decision that you make is wrong. No, I keep spitting all that stuff out, that venom into his spirit. And then he started feeling like, oh, well, then my mom looking at me like, okay, well, then I am less than. Then I can't do it. I don't want to do it anyway. And I ain't going to do it because I'm worried about what people are going to say. Let them say it. I'm here to tell you right now, let them say it. God knows that rejection was all over me, and I'm out. I'm coming out. I am out. I'm going to say I am out. Because making these videos, I didn't want to. Looking at the views would discourage you. Looking at the subscribe button would discourage you. And you ask yourself, did I really hear from God? But even if they don't listen to it now, maybe this is a setup for what I'm saying now, for what they'll need in the future. Understand who you are. Know whose you are. God said, I will build my church upon a rock. Peter, he was talking about Peter because Peter knew who he was. I mean, who he is. That's when you don't let nobody shake you. See, we also fall in that rejection spirit with the church. Because we feel because we don't know more than certain people, then we fall into that rejection because we see how other people praise them, and then we see how the so-called believers shoo and think you ain't got a gift to hear and hear in the spirit where they talk about you. Oh, they ain't ready. Oh, they don't know this. Oh, they ain't. Oh, they don't sound. Oh, they don't. Oh my God, from Zion. That's why people don't want to come to church. They don't want to come back because our hypocritical spirit, our backbiting spirit, our negative spirit, our python spirit we got, that witchcraft spirit we got going on, the devil is a liar. No, we will not walk in that. We will not walk in that. And we want the people to come into church. And the minute they come in and the minute they try to say a little bit what God told them to say, we go to looking at them, ooh, that's all they know? That's all they know until God send the right one to help grow them up, to get to where God wants them to be at. You was once there. You was once there. Remember that. You was once there. You didn't know everything right then and there. Some did learn from a child where they just loved to read. And they remember the stories. And they understood the stories right then and there. And as time went by, because they loved to read and they comprehend, they did it over and over, so they knew the word. But guess what? God spoke about those people as well. What's the sense of being a hearer and not a doer? What's the sense of knowing the word and not living it? It don't even matter. It don't matter that you know more than me. If you're listening to me right now and you feel that the people in your church or the people on your job or whatever it is, know more than you, remember that this is not a competition. This is not a competition. Get that spirit off of you. As I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking to myself. That's how I keep moving forward. Because other than that, I wouldn't have got on here and did these videos. I would have looked at it, no filter, no makeup, look at my hair. I don't want to do this. What would the people say? How do I sound to them? How do I look look to them, I don't care. Because I love me. I know who and whose I am. God has grown me up. I will not allow you to tear me down. Whether it's in the comments, whether you never hit like, whether you hit thumbs down, whether you never subscribe. But as long as you do what God had called you to do, do it. He said, my sheep will know my voice. That's what he said. There's more to that verse, but I can't think of it right now. Let's just be honest and truthful.